Hey everybody, I just thought I'd go through some of the Woolich software stuff with David, the ZX4, show you what the ZX4 comes out settings wise with regards to a factory setting, and then the stuff that we have started to play with and what we've found and why we've done it with the Woolich tuning software. So the software is loaded onto your laptop where you can adjust, and then you upload to the ECU through the Woolich hardware, which is plugged into the CAN plug on the back of the ZX4. So I will bring up basically the stock specs in accordance with what we downloaded out of the ECU. Note, we are running the what they call European or Australian ECU, and there is a setting to change it in between that and America. So I haven't done that and didn't want to do that. So we'll show you the bits and bobs and my findings and the things that I'm adjusting on David, the ZX4R, which we hire out as a track bike and now as a road bike. Thanks. Rightio, so this is the portal for the Woolich Racing tuning software, and it's got things like your serial numbers, your regions, the bin file names. The first one I did, I just changed the quick shifter and made it into a race pattern just to see if that would work. So you do have a few things here. I didn't have the auto tune function, so if you have an auto tune function where you can do live stuff, then that's excellent. Data log viewer, I think that is the same when you are oh no, it might be engine data when you click on engine data. So you can be plugged in and you can have all this information present, so it can tell you all of these things. It also can record, you know, if you're doing a run, then you can record all these bits and bobs, and mainly this is the bit that you're going to worry about, right? So yeah, pretty cool. And obviously an auto tune, you can use that, I imagine, as well. Diagnostics, haven't gone too far into this, but it can bring up the fault codes, so you connect, and then it'll be interesting to see, yep, so you've got all these other tests that you can do to, yeah, test those bits and bobs. So ETV syncs, injector tests, fuel pump tests, clear fault codes, yeah. So another little part of the Woolich thing. The advanced settings. So this is where you can change your fan when your fan comes on and off. So factory is 9095. We actually lowered that down to 9085, meaning the fan comes on 5 degrees earlier. So it comes on at 90 and then it will turn off at 85. So current factory setting is it comes on at 95 and then turns off at 90. So my fan comes on a little bit earlier than normal, and that's just to try and keep him a bit cooler because he does some track stuff. So it's real easy to come back in and obviously have your bike hot. So you can go through and you can choose all of these. So whether you want to turn these on or off, and that's the race quick shifter there. So you can click that and go, yep, I want the race shift to be quick shifter. So that inverts it all. So you flip your shifter arm on your shaft, so turn it around 180 degrees, and then you need to hit that one as well. A few other bits and pieces that we have mucked around with from factory, and we'll let you know what we've got there. Limiters, so you've got an RPM limiter. So that's the hard limit. So I think ours is set to 15.2. Could be 15.150. And on the gauge, as in on the rev counter, it almost shows 16,000. So shows the slight inaccuracy of the actual gauge. So that's the hard limit of 15.150. Stock maybe 15.2. Going into the other maps, this is where we really wanted to do some work, particularly in the ETV. This is where the American model is severely restricted. And then you can do fuel trim by gears as well. These are all 100%, so I suppose you could muck around with this in whatever gear. They're all going to be 100% factory. So you've got RPMs on the side and then TPS. Yeah, if you needed to change it gear to gear, which we did not do. Ignition, we didn't change any ignition stuff. Yeah, so, and there's obviously a safety. Yeah, it looks exactly the same, interestingly. So you can change your ignition dwell maps, control the time ignition coils. We haven't mucked around with ignition timing on David, we've kept it all factory. I have started playing with quick shifter strength, and you'll notice that in gear 1 they're all about the same, and in gear 5 it's quite a bit different. You've got at your throttle positions and depending on the revs. So the lowest strength is kind of that mid throttle and higher RPM, and then once you get to a full throttle it's a stronger cut. Yeah, so the strength is stronger. When it comes to time, that's the opposite. So and obviously choosing gears as well, so how long it's going to cut for. So 24 is a high setting in 5th gear. This is obviously quick shifting up into 4th gear. 20, so a little bit, and you can see at lower throttle settings it's a quicker quick shift kill amount. So that's what I muck around with there, and wheelie control doesn't take effect. Yeah. So let's just show you the ETV stuff, which is the electronic throttle valves. And this is how it really describes it here. Maps the percentage the electronic throttle valves is opened based on the hand throttle position sensor percentage and RPM inputs. So you've got up here, you've got the throttle position sensor percentage. So that's 0.5 of a throttle from 0 to 100%. To that's 50, and obviously if I scroll down and move across to 100% throttle. So what that is saying is at 1000 RPM at 100% throttle, let's put it in the right gear. So let's put it in gear 1. At 100% at 1000 RPM in 1st gear at 100% throttle, the electronic throttle valves open 30% of 100%. So all these figures are the percentage of where you put your throttle. So here is 100. And so it doesn't give you 100% throttle. At 100% throttle, it doesn't give you 100% throttle until 13,000 RPM. So that means at 7,000 RPM, if you whack the throttle right on, you're only getting 41% of 100%. And then all of these are a variation of that. So 62% of 36% throttle position sensor. And so the from what I understand, the American market, that is the way that they have restricted the American bikes the most. And here's a really good example. So we're at the full power mode. We're in 4th gear at 100% throttle. And it goes up to 100% throttle, and then it backs off to 80% throttle. So from 12,000 RPM, the ETV, the electronic throttle valves, because it's all fly-by-wire, starts reducing the throttle. The computer reduces how much you're giving it the wellies. Yeah, interesting that it does it in 4th, 5th and 6th. You get 100% throttle from around that 12,000 RPM. So this is a standard loadout, and obviously what it does also show you, if you choose the low power, the rain mode, or low power, then in 5th gear at 100%, you're lucky, you never get over 54%, 56% throttle. So down to these high RPMs, 14, 15, 30% throttle, even though your hands are 100. So that really shows you what they're doing to neuter the power delivery on these bikes. All right, so we'll close out of that. We talked about ignition maps. There's a different ignition map here, so you can do by cylinder, and it's to do with timing, top dead center. We didn't do any ignition timing. We've left it completely stock. The fuel maps is something that we did do on the dyno, and that is you've got 2 settings, both in accordance with the throttle position sensor, and that's usually from the time we spend on the dyno. talking to my dyno guy, it was above the sort of 10% is when the TPS really kicks in. And below that, you're using the inlet absolute pressure. So that is, and it says here, manages the amount of fuel supplied at low throttle and cruise conditions. This map is also known as the MAP fuel map. So this is the one that's kind of that real nice, just cracking the gas on, how soft you want the it to be. With the initial roll on, which is quite vital on a racetrack, that first sort of 10%, you really don't want that notchiness, which a lot of people talk about. Configuration, so you can unify fuel cylinder maps, you can unify ignition groups, so it means you can make them all the same instead of having to do cylinder by cylinder. Right, so let's open up, I don't want to save the bin file, let's open up one of the more recent ones that we have done. Tried to explain what we've done in each map, and sadly you're running out of characters, so I'm going to have to come up with a new system. So the new bin file is opened. It says when it was last worked with, and when it was created, and when it was last worked with. So I've been massaging the quick shifter mainly, and you'll see here we changed the fan setting. You can change your idle if you really want. We disabled O2 FI cut, we disabled fuel cut. We left the front wheel seats on because we're still running ABS. We're currently in road shift because people keep hiring at road shift. Got rid of the top speed limiter and a few other bits and pieces. So those are the things that we've selected there. RPM, no, still the same, 15150. We could even pull that back for hirers. Other maps, right. So you've got to make sure we're choosing the correct group, and if I go to top gear, we're in full power mode, in the ETV, the electronic throttle valve setup, and we move across. Blue means we have increased, so all of those have increased, so that at 100% throttle from about 6,000 RPM we're now at 100%. And why these are all 100% is exactly the same. Above 50% throttle, I want what my hand is doing to be what the throttle valves are doing. That's why 100% means 100% of 50% TPS is what the bike is doing. And you'll see those are all from about that sort of 6, 7 onwards. And that's in top gear, and that's where we did most of our tuning. What I hadn't realized is I hadn't done the same for the lower gears. So we were tuning 4th, 5th and 6th, and in the first 3 gears we hadn't done that. So I've actually copy and pasted, so you can copy, you can select all of these, you can then hit copy, and then go to the next gear, hit paste, and it will move those along. Quick shifter time. This is another one I've really adjusted. So you'll see red means I've reduced. So that's in the first gear. And if I go all the way to top gear, severely reduced the top gear quick shifter time to make it quicker, as in less of a cut. And that is pretty much all the way through. I found this sort of lower setting to be still fairly smooth. It wasn't as smooth as I really liked it, but I didn't really want to, you know, we're talking massive reductions there, so been experimenting with that. The last experimentation was the strength, and I reduced it very slightly. You can see that light red, that means I've slightly reduced the strength of the quick shifter by 5%. And my goal, same here, my goal was actually to make the auto blip less intrusive. It was blipping a lot, almost accelerating while you're down changing. So I wanted to reduce that strength of that. And so you can see I've done that in those gears there. And those are the figures. Cancel out of that. Fuel maps. You can see here in the IOP mode, we talked about that being the low throttle and cruise. So we just took a bit out of the middle, and It was really just a bit of a bucket chemistry style affair. Take it out in the middle just to soften it up. And actually what I find is it gives me a nice, as I roll it on, there's roll on is soft and a little bit of noise, and then I get some drive. So there's a difference between noise and drive. And it's not by much, but it means it's quite a soft application. And then when we go to TPS, this is where you can see we added fuel and reduced fuel at every single throttle position and at every single RPM. So you can see where the red means reduce. So most of the time it was too rich in the sort of the upper, the groovy part here. And then in the middle at the lower throttle position sensors, she was a bit lean. So we added some fuel there. And that's, yeah, that's the fuel maps edit. And we unified the fuel cylinder maps so that all the cylinders were the same. And that is our sort of where we've finally finished. If people want more facts and figures about what it is we've done, where we're at the moment, we're running the Graves headers and then a custom muffler, so it won't be perfect for everyone, but that's where we're at the moment. And I haven't ridden the bike with the full power in the first 3 gears. And I'm probably going to change the auto blip just a little bit, change the strength, and just see if that improves again by reducing. I reduced the quick shifter strength, cut it right back in a similar fashion as the quick shifter, and the quick shifter wouldn't work at all. So the time doesn't seem to be super sensitive, but the strength is very sensitive. Yeah. Well, that's a big long video, and you know, that's pretty much a day on the dyno, and then no less than 2 or 3 track days of messing with things. Still never touched the fuel again, still working with quick shifter, and obviously that ETV. I'm going to go try that out this afternoon shortly. The bits I'd like to do for a second dyno is ignition. Whether we play with ignition, we're still running a factory air filter. Everything else on the bike is factory. So we have down geared it, and that's just because of how tall they are geared. The tracks in New Zealand aren't quite as fast as Australia or as some of the big wide open stuff. Top speed on a 70 to 75 horsepower bike in New Zealand, 210 is absolutely plenty. 220 is you know, sort of a 100 horsepower weapon at our tracks. So there are some straights, but they just don't seem to be, they're a tight twisty track with a big long straight at the end. So gearing is kind of, you know, everyone's got their own gearing. This is the best gearing for us. So hopefully that helps some people, and we'll keep adjusting. I'll let you know how the quick shifter strength goes, whether it affects the blip. At the moment, I'm using a little bit of a clutch assist just to soften the blip. Mainly noticing the issue, high speed turn entry corners, a fifth or sixth gear corner, hitting the brakes, and downshifting, and it feels like as I'm braking, I'm getting an accelerator force while braking, which on those sort of high speed turn entries is doesn't feel as nice as you'd like it to. So it'd be great if the blip was just a little bit less than that, and yeah, work out how to do that. Could be a clutch thing, could be a me thing, but we'll see if we can adjust that out with the Woolich. It is fun. I like the fact that I can adjust, play with certain things, save it, and then you can write one and try it, don't like it, change it, or rewrite something else. So yeah. Any questions? I'm learning as I go. It's the first time I've done any kind of tuning stuff myself. I always go to professional. Ozzy Performance is the one that really, he's a very, very professional tuner. Doesn't do a lot of tuning anymore, so I rely heaps on him, Chris Osborne, to sort of guide me through what I can do. And when I got questions about all this stuff, he's really good at sort of letting me know. Try this a little bit here, try this a little bit here, and it's literally, you know, bike to bike, rider to rider, what you feel. You can see why the MotoGP guys have a professional technician who does this, and has multiple bikes to try it all out. All right, I hope this helps, and yeah, come and try him out. He's a bit of fun. I'm enjoying working with him. The technology in him is wicked, and yeah, See you guys trackside. So a bit of an update on the last run. So I adjusted the quick shifter strength. I pulled it back another 5%. So I've reduced the quick shifter strength at the over, I think it was 9,000 RPM. I have to double check that, whatever I was showing you guys before. Total of 10% from factory, and it is even quicker on upshift, and the downshift doesn't seem like it blips as much. Could just be a perception thing, and it could also be to do with that ETV position and percentage. I don't know how much intertwines with each other, but it seems like the auto blip down it's a little bit better if you do it lower in the RPM. So that could be my other issue. My other issue might have been that I'm changing down too quickly, meaning that the revs are a lot higher when it blips down, which is why I get a surging feeling. So just been trialing on the road, and obviously that's what a lot of the guys, a lot of the pro tuners that are offering an ECU flash do a dyno run and then make sure you go out on the road and actually make sure it feels nice, because numbers are numbers, but feeling is actually more important really overall when you're on the road. Unlocking the electronic throttle valves in the first couple of gears is very noticeable. Very noticeable. So before it would pull stronger in fourth, or it felt like it pulled stronger in fourth than it did in third, and it made sense because basically the throttle wasn't giving me full throttle until 14,000 RPM. So now you get full throttle from that anywhere down low, if that's what you're asking of it. So second gear is far more lively, and third all the way up. So first is very short. I've got a I've got a 54 tooth rear sprocket, so she's a real short first gear anyway. And the quick shifter is still able to go through first to second in a road shift pattern at that setting. So pretty darn happy. Yeah, really happy. I'm going to be on the track at a different track that I'm used to. It's not my home track, but one that I know quite well and go quite well at. So I'm going to go up to Taupo. It's a lot more suited for a smaller bike. And yeah, I'm gonna test out the 400 there. It's really like that bike is built for that racetrack. Very tight, twisty infield, lots of switchbacks, undulation, a couple of long multiple gear up corners, and then a very fast back half of the track with a straightaway that's the length of a drag strip, followed by a double chicane. So yeah, as a 400 style of bike, or that mid-size to small-size bike, that track's gonna be wicked. So yeah, I'll keep people updated, and we'll do a sort of an update every couple of months on whatever it is that I'm changing. I think the next step for us, specifically on my machine, is suspension. So I've been filling myself with the stock, and it's actually working quite well. I would say the front is the biggest weakness. I'm a big dude, 95 kilos. I think that's sort of 220, 230 in the American money. So I have to wind a bit of preload on. And yeah, I think the front is probably where we need to spend the money next. Thanks heaps. Catch you soon.